Yeah, so make your way over to your mat on your back, and if you want to use props, you can either slide them underneath the hook between your ankle and your heel, or underneath your knees, maybe underneath your lower back so that your lower back feels really cushioned. Maybe you put them underneath your shoulders or behind your neck or head. So plenty of options if you want to use a prop to make yourself feel super comfortable, super supportive. I'm going to stay near the screen just a moment longer and mute you, and then change the view so that hopefully my screen is the biggest one for all of you now. And then plop in a little microphone. There we go. Perfect. Oh, randomly has just shuffled my screen. That's okay. All right, so make your way over to your mat to lie on your back. Any extra layers for warmth, please keep them on. Socks, jumpers, etc. If you want to have a blanket with you, have a blanket, and use any props that you wish to. Cushions, pillows, blankets, or towels. Anything that allows you to get comfortable. Now, while you're on your back, let me offer you out some suggestions as well. You may choose to extend your knees and have your legs straight. That's absolutely fine. You may choose to bend your knees and have your feet on the mat. And if that's the case, have your feet wider than hip distance so that your knees can come in and fall into each other. Or the alternative is the soles of your feet are together and your knees are wide, if that's comfortable for your lower back and your hips. So you take a moment to adjust and settle and arrive from whatever else has happened today so that you can enjoy this half hour to yourself. I'm going to stay upright, so if you look at your screen and you see me not lying down, that's okay. You're in the right position. I'm just keeping an eye on the cameras. So we've got some leg positions to choose from. Hand positions, I would invite you to place them on the lower half of your belly, near your hips or between your lower ribs and hip joints. So you place your hands lightly, palms down, on the lower part of your belly. And if it's comfortable for you, please close your eyes as well. Let your body sink down, remove the sense of sight, and just feel into your body. Observe where you're connected to the ground, observe what's exposed to the air, and if you're breathing deeply, hopefully you're going to feel your hands moving as well. So the air's going to enter, fill up your lungs, stretching your ribs a little bit, and then pushing your diaphragm gently into your abdomen so you get that slight expansion of the lower part of the belly, and then the relax and release as the air exits. And it should be a lovely rhythmical cycle. Now, we're not doing anything too strenuous this evening, so there shouldn't be a need to worry about holding your breath, but I just love you to check in if we do twisting actions, that you don't twist so deep that you feel like there's a sense of compression within the torso. If you need to release from a twist so that your breathing is still relaxed and gentle, then I'd rather you do that than feel obliged to twist deeper. Rather twist to a position where it's comfortable for you. So just another moment or two to let go of your thoughts for the day so far. Start to feel into your body, noticing any sensations. Maybe there's a bit of stiffness, maybe some joints are feeling a little fragile and a little bit delicate, but we're going to move really, really gently. And using any props that you have as well to support your body so that you feel really comfortable and cozy throughout. Good, well done. All right, let's bring the knees up in towards the chest now. Both of them together or gently one at a time, whatever suits you. As you bring your knees up, maybe you lift your hips off the mat a little bit, let your lower back really feel grounded. And I'm holding onto the top sections of the shin, just below the knee joint. Elbows lowered but snuggled in towards the ribs. Then we're going to take a breath in, lifting your head, neck and shoulders, looking towards your knees, and then a full body stretch. Let go of the legs. Stretch overhead if you have room. Extend your legs away from you. You can point your toes or flex your feet, whichever you prefer. Take a big breath in as you stretch, and as you exhale, let's squeeze into a little ball again, bringing the knees to the chest. Lift head, neck and shoulders, grab a hold of the top half of the shins, and then open out. Full body stretch. Take up as much room as you can. Big breath in. One more time, knees to chest. Squeeze into that little ball. A little bit of muscle activation to lift you and squeeze you, and then open out. Stay opened out this time. We're going to take a banana shape, sending our ankles and our wrists over to one edge of the mat, so you might feel like the muscles that side having a little squeeze, but the opposite side experiencing an opening. Your limbs can stay on the mat as you reach in diagonal lines with the ankles and the hands. Come back through center, and then banana shape over to the other side. So you're sending your ankles and your wrists towards the corners of your mat while the hips stay center. One more time each side. Come through the middle, reach over to the corners of your mat. Taking that lovely little stretch, you're still full body stretch here. Back through center and over to the other side. So just making like a crescent shape, a banana shape, whichever you prefer. Then we're going to come back through the middle. Grab a hold of the right knee on its own, leaving the left leg extended. Squeeze the right knee in towards your chest and then guide it over towards the left. So I'm using my right elbow on the mat to push my hips up and over. Let the shoulders follow. Let your hips rotate. And if comfortable, let your right ankle and knee come all the way down to the mat, or grab a little cushion, prop it underneath your lower leg. And then once you're settled, open out the right shoulder, let it come back to your mat. You can extend your right arm, so we're taking a twist. Like I said, with those twists, make sure that you're only opening out as far as you can still comfortably and naturally breathe. So we've stacked the hips, but we're opening the shoulders. You might feel a chest stretch on the right side as well. We'll pause here for one more breath, and then relax, release. Bring the right knee up and over your chest. Resettle your hips into the center of the mat if you need to, and if you have a cushion, take it over towards the left-hand side now. Let your right leg go, bringing the left knee up into your chest. Squeeze tight here. Beautiful. And then guide the left knee over towards the right-hand side. So again, you can push your left elbow into the ground to help your hips to twist. Maybe the ankle and the knee comes all the way over to the right, or perhaps you're supporting on a cushion again. And then we'll let the left shoulder open back up, extending the arm if that feels comfortable, checking in that you're still comfortably breathing despite the twist. Maybe you're feeling a little stretch through the left side of the chest whilst that arm reaches long. Pausing for one more breath before we guide the left knee back up and over the center of the chest, settling your hips in the middle of the mat again if you need to. Both knees up and in. Let's take another squeeze, lower back against the mat. Maybe the hips tilt up and the shoulders lift, and a full body stretch all the way through your fingers and your toes. This time you're going to bring your knees to your chest, but slide your hands behind your knees and start a rocking action. So send your toes over your shoulders and then towards the front edge of your mat, gaining momentum gently to bring you higher and higher up until eventually you sit all the way upright. Lovely. If you need to reposition into the center of your mat, you can do that. Cross your legs gently here. Sit up tall so that both your hip bones feel evenly grounded, and place your hands lightly on your knees. Let the front of the body lift, the back of the body lower down, elbows and shoulders. We're going to take a couple of rounds of seated cat and cow. So by that I mean we're going to pull the elbows back, draw the chest through your arms, take a breath in, pulling the lower ribs and belly button forward. And as you breathe out, round your back, let your shoulders come forward and together, send your spine behind you, holding onto your knees for balance. Lean as far back as you feel comfortable to lean. Taking another breath in, lift, bring an arch to the back, chest forward, front of the body stretches. And breathing out, rounding, sending the spine away from you, rolling over the hips if that feels comfortable, an internal rotation of your upper arms in the shoulder sockets. One more, breathe in, lift tall, lifting the chin up towards the ceiling, collarbone widens, and then roll on back, exhaling as you go. Very nice. Sitting up tall, uncross your legs and then recross them the opposite way. We're not here for long. If it feels a little bit awkward and you think, ooh, knees don't like this position or the hips don't like this position, it's just to get a little bit of balance. Now we're going to imagine a bowl shape. From the bottom of the ribs, this lower section is the shape of a bowl. Equally, the hips are also a bowl shape. And we're going to roll the ribs around the hip space, leaning left and right and forwards and backwards, making it as big a movement as you are comfortable to make. So we're letting the shoulders shift. One elbow can bend, the other elbow can straighten, holding gently on towards the knees. And then change direction, go back the opposite way. You might notice the body release a couple of clicks and creaks, that's all good. Tuck your tailbone, lift your chest, move as organically and as naturally as you can. Very nice. We'll finish by sitting upright. You're then welcome to roll over your ankles to bring your hands to the mat and then send your shins behind you, or if you prefer, unwrap your legs, sweep them back like a little mermaid, and then come onto all fours. So your preference, roll over the ankles or swish them to the side. Excellent. Once we're here in our tabletop position, we're going to make sure that the hands are spread wide and underneath the shoulders, tucking the belly button in, and your hips are going to be over your knees with your knees hip distance apart. Now we're going to take a little roll, a figure of 8, so we're going to send our shoulders in one direction and then our hips back in another, coming through center, shoulders round and the hips back. Good, well done. Again, you can make this as big or as small as you need to. And then we'll change direction. Go back with the hips, come forward the other way with the shoulders. Good, you can move fast or slow, however it feels for your body. Gently transferring your weight across your wrists. And then we'll pause in our tabletop. Take a breath in, lift the chest away from the ground, extending the back of the neck, drawing the belly button in and up, so you've got a firm and flat lower back. And then we're going to reach up with the right hand, taking a breath in, sending your right hand high to the sky, opening out the chest, breathing out and lowering the right hand, but just brushing it off the ground. So you level out the shoulders again. Good. Breathe in and lift. Right hand comes up all the way to the sky. Look to the right or up if that feels good. Breathe out and lower. One last time. All the way up. So you're pressing into your left hand, lifting your right, breathing in. This time the right hand is going to come down and through under your right left shoulder. So the right shoulder comes down to the mat. And you can have your left palm on the ground. Maybe you push into it slightly to lift your left elbow and lift your left shoulder. Or another option is to reach up and over towards the top end of your mat. Another option is to take your left hand up behind your right waist. So you're pushing the back part of your palm onto your waist. Maybe you can reach towards the top part of your thigh or your hip. And now we're lifting the left elbow and lifting the left shoulder. So 3 options for you to work through or choose from, still breathing throughout. Whichever option you take, let's gently release now. Bring the left palm back to the mat. Push away, breathe in, right hand lifts up towards the sky as you inhale, send it high. And exhale, coming back to your tabletop position. Good. If you need to roll out the shoulders or shake off the wrist, take a little bit of movement, you can. Reset on your knees, and then we'll work through the left side. So right palm on the ground, breathing, left hand lifts. You can look up or to the left if you prefer, stretching high, and with the breath out, left hand lowers, just lightly touching the mat. Inhale and lift again, so turning your chest to the left, fingers high, breathing in, and lower, slowly release. One last time, breathe in, lift, send the fingertips high, open out the chest. And as you exhale, send the left hand down, underneath your right shoulder. Left shoulder comes to the mat. And we're going to work through the same options. So, option 1, right palm stays on the ground, a little bit of pressure, lifting your elbow, lifting your shoulder. Option 2, reach your right hand forward towards the top edge of your mat, still lifting your shoulder. Or option 3, right hand reaches up and around the back of your body, back of the palm snuggles into your waist. Maybe you can reach the top of your thigh or your hip, and the elbow is high, the shoulder is rolling back, and we are still breathing. Good. Take one more breath wherever you are, and then we'll gently unravel, bringing the right palm back down to the mat, just in case it's not already there. Push into the ground, breathe in, lift, left arm comes on up, open out to the side. And exhale, release back down to your tabletop position. Fantastic. Shuffle the knees ever so slightly back, like a half a foot will do nicely. And then make note of where your heel of your hand is. Bring your elbows down to that same position so that your forearms rest on the mat now. Fingertips reaching ahead as your forearms are parallel. Then snuggle your elbows about a half a foot forward. See if it's comfortable for you to lower your chest but tilt your hips up towards the ceiling. So the hips are still above your knees. If this feels comfortable, stay here. But if you're ready for a little bit more, elbows even further forward and then lower the chest down towards the mat, lifting your chin, looking towards your thumbs. We've got puppy pose. So this should give a nice stretch through the chin, through the chest. But if it feels uncomfortable in the shoulders, remember to have your elbows just that little bit closer towards you. And whilst we create an arch in the back, drawing the belly button in, we'll keep a little bit of firmness through the torso. Let's take one more breath in your chosen version. And then we'll lift up and slide the hips forward and down, coming to lie on our fronts. If you need to reposition, your elbows are underneath your shoulders with the forearms parallel. Good. Feet hip distance apart. You can take a little check behind you if you need to. Now with the feet, let's engage the back of the body. And by that I mean point the toes so your calves start to tighten just a little. If you tighten your thighs, your knees might lift a fraction. And if you engage your glutes, you might feel like your hip bones are starting to draw in towards the ground. Looking ahead of you with a slight lift of the chin, pushing the elbows in towards the mat. And then try and draw your chest through your arms so that your shoulders loop back. Shoulder blades might feel like they're squeezing together. And we're trying to get a little bit of height. So pushing elbows down, lifting the head. Should feel like a reasonable amount of muscles are working and active in this pose. Take a breath, make sure that you're still inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll soften, relax, release. Send the elbows wide. Lower your head down. Maybe you make a pillow for your head with your hands. And as your knees soften, your feet relax, roll the ankles side to side, or maybe you roll your hips gently side to side. Very nice. Bring your hands now to the outer edges of your mat. Let your forehead rest on the ground and have your elbows up high. You can wriggle the shoulders a little bit so that they feel comfortable. And we're going to take a slow roll up to a wide-armed cobra. So breathe in, let the back of your neck lift. Then start to straighten your arms, finally lifting the head, chin up, little tilt down of your elbows, so you might bring a bend back to your elbows facing down, but the chest is up high and the back of the body is gently engaged. Then we'll ripple down the way we came, so the belly lowers, the elbows bend and rotate up, forehead down towards the mat. Good. Bring your hands just an inch closer towards your shoulders. We'll go again. Breathe in, lift from the back of the neck, up and up and up. Arms start to straighten, head rises. Bring your elbows in and down. Shine your chest forward. Lightly engage the back of the body. Breathing out, we'll lower back down the way that we came, lifting the elbows up to finish, forehead down. Bring your hands again another inch closer towards your shoulders, and we'll take one more. Push into the ground, lift, slowly curl up. Elbows begin to straighten, chin lifts, tuck the elbows, point them down, shining your chest forward. Good. And a slow ripple and roll down. Very nice. Bring your hands close to your chest this time. Push up and away, hips creep over your heels, reaching ahead of you. We'll take a child's pose. So if there's any tension in your lower back, let it shift gently, dropping your chest between your knees, pulling your belly button in and up. You can bend your elbows or keep your arms straight, whichever you prefer. Good. Pause here for a breath. If you'd like to take a drink of water, it's a really good time now as we take this little rest. Just a couple of breaths. And then we're going to make our way back into a tabletop. So lift on up out of your child's pose. Regroup in the center of your mat onto your all fours position, hands and knees. Good, very nice. All right, briefly, we're going to kick the left leg back, not for long. Lift the right knee up so the hips come up a little bit, and then take a step forward and through with your right leg. So the right knee is just outside of the shoulders. And if you need to break that down into several steps, do that. And then we'll let the left knee rest back down. So it was only just to get your hips up and off the ground. All right, draw your hips forward, draw your upper body forward. You should get a really nice hip flexors stretch here, the front of the left hip, but you may well feel it around the back of your right hip too. Let your shoulders loop back. So try and create, if you can, a diagonal line from your knee up to your hip, up towards your shoulders. Maybe you're up on your fingertips to achieve that, or maybe your hands are down on the ground. Good. Walk your right foot a little wider. See if it allows your hips to sink down a little more. Maybe you're considering bending your elbows. Good. You can bring the sole of your foot up and in, facing inwards. Maybe the knee drifts a little wider again. And you're also welcome to explore the option of lowering your elbows. Or maybe you have a cushion and you lower your elbows onto the cushion. All the way down to the mat or the cushion, your choice, or stay upright. Still thinking about looping the shoulders back and lifting the chest, still breathing gently. Relax, release. Let it go. Good. If you came low with your body, come back upright. Move away any props so you've got a little bit of space. As you lift upright, walk your right foot in, all the way underneath your shoulder and on the inside of your right hand. There we go, good. Straighten your right legs, shift your hips back now into a half split hamstring stretch. So we're not bringing the left knee or the left hip all the way down, it's staying above the knee. If the hamstrings are tight, you might find yourself in a more upright position, that's fine. If you can, fold forward at the hips, bring your fingertips down to stretch the back of your right thigh. You're welcome to peel your toes up and push your heel into the mat, or keep your foot flat and extended. And then as you breathe, see if you can gently lower a little further forward and a little lower down. Good. Looking ahead of you over your toes. Well done. Bend your right knee again, shift your weight forward. Now we're about to bring our fingertips off the floor, so if balance is a challenge for you, walk your right foot just that little bit wider. We're going to inhale, bring the chest up, and then reach the arms behind your hips, interlacing your knuckles and extending the fingertips. As that happens, the shoulders are likely to loop back, the chin and the chest are likely to lift, and we're still thinking about the left hip forward and down. Good, one more breath. Relax, release, bring your hands back to the mat. Now briefly again, we're going to tuck our left toes, lifting the left leg, step the right leg back, and then we'll quickly swap left leg forward, right knee can come back down. Remember, if you need to break it down into several stages, totally do that. Good. So in this lovely low lunge position, this time we should have the stretch in the front of the right hip, but perhaps a little bit around the back of the left hip too. We're thinking about pulling forward and down. Remember that diagonal line from right knee up through the hips, up through a long flat back into the shoulders and back of the neck. Breathe in. And then walking the left foot a little bit wider. As the hips open, maybe you can come a little lower with your chest. Option to turn onto the outside edge of the foot, so the sole of your foot lifts and faces towards your center line, knee a little wider, maybe you're coming a little bit lower. Onto your elbows, or if you have a prop that you prefer to use, rest your elbows on that. But we're still thinking about the chest shining forward, long through the back, breathing, don't force anything, it should feel like a nice stretch for your body. Breathing in and letting it go. Good, and if you've come to a lowered position, let's rise back up onto straight arms, moving a prop out the way. Walk your left foot closer to you so it's underneath your shoulder, left hand on the outside of your foot now. Good, well done. Let's kick it back into our hamstring stretch, straightening the left leg, shifting the hips back, walking your hands with you. Remember, you can come upright or down low if your hamstrings allow. Now the temptation may be to round your back and look at your left knee, but we're going to try and keep the body long, looking over the toes, so that the hinge is from the hips rather than through the waist. And again, remember, you can pull back, lifting your toes if that feels right for you, or keep your foot on the ground. That's it. And as you breathe, maybe you consider again walking the elbows and the hands a little bit lower down, still relaxing, keeping the back long and flat. Good, very nice. Let's come on forward again, re-bending the left knee. Remembering if balance is a challenge, walk your left foot just that little bit wider. Inhale, lift the shoulders up above the hips, reaching your arms behind you, squeezing your elbows together, squeezing your shoulder blades together, lifting chin, lifting chest. Once again, we're thinking about the hips still forward and down as the chest rises, still breathing. One more breath in. On your out breath, let your hands go. Bring your palms to your mat. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knees. Step on back to your plank before both knees come down. Untuck your toes, send your hips back, and take another reach forward into child's pose. Good, well done. Rocking gently, side to side, letting the chest lower. You're welcome to drop your head down too, keeping your arms straight or bending your elbows. Then we're going to lift gently up and out, walking our knees underneath our shoulders, through the arms, sitting back on the hips, and sweeping the legs ahead. Good, very nice. Now if you're getting chilly, it's a great time to add a jumper or pop on some socks. We're going to make our way down onto our back for our final few poses before the relaxation. So if you know you want a proper blanket or towels underneath your knees, your lower back, or your head, have them ready to grab. Otherwise, super gently, we're going to roll on down. Have your hands behind your hips, bend into your elbows, rest on your forearms, tuck your tailbone underneath you, and then come to lie on your back. Good. Similar to where we started, we're bringing the knees back up in towards the chest. Let the hips lift so that your lower back feels firm and flat, and relax your shoulders. Now we're just going to pause here for a moment before we move on to our next pose. If I try and encourage you to let the whole of your shoulder expanse drop down onto the mat, maybe even push onto the mat, you might find like your chest opens, maybe your elbows widen and draw down, and you've got pressure as your shoulders start to push back onto the mat. But just check at the same time that it doesn't cause your lower back to arch. Try and get the lower back equally on the ground. From there, we're going to take the knees a little bit wider and outside the edges of the chest. Slide your hands behind your knees and then send your toes up towards the ceiling. Flex your feet, point your toes, rotate your ankles, and take a little bit of movement. Paddle it out. And then either keep your hands on the back of your knees or slide them up the back of the calves. If you do that, start to draw the shoulders down again. If that feels comfortable, maybe you want to reach a little bit higher up towards your ankles. The knees will need to come a bit further to the side of your chest for that to happen. Then you can either stay there or reach up to the outside edges of the feet, wrapping your fingertips into the insoles and then drawing the knees down and wide. And again, looking for the shoulders to plug back down, flattening the lower back. This is called happy baby pose. You can stay here with stillness or gently rock side to side, slightly bending one knee, slightly extending the other as you move. So stillness or perhaps a little bit of gentle rocking side to side. Now it's a little bit of a hip stretch as you bring your knees wide of your chest. It's not often that we find ourselves in this position, so if it feels uncomfortable for you, release the feet, start to hug the knees back in towards the chest but closer to midline. Otherwise, stick here, rock a little bit more gently side to side, just for a few more breaths. Feeling as much of the back of your body in contact with the ground as possible, so looking out for the back arching, looking out for the shoulders lifting, and then we'll pause. Gently slide the hands down the lower legs, back behind the knees, squeeze them in towards your chest. Bring the feet down towards the ground and adopt whatever position feels good for you. Maybe you go back to how you started the class. So perhaps the feet were wide and the knees were close. Perhaps the soles of the feet were close and the knees were wide. Or maybe your legs were extended. And again, same thing with your hands. I'll encourage you to place them between the lower ribs and the front of your hips. Resting them lightly on the lower part of your tummy. Relaxing your elbows, softening them to your mat. Relaxing your shoulders, let your upper arms come to rest. Supporting your body wherever you need to. Behind the knees, under the lower back, the back of the neck, or the back of your head. Closing your eyes again and feeling into the movement of your breath and any changes that you might observe through your body. Maybe it's a physical change, or maybe it's an energetic or mood change. Maybe you feel a little bit of energy has shifted within you, or perhaps you just feel super relaxed now and ready for a restful evening ahead. So as your eyes close and your body settles, we just come to that sensation of letting go and relaxing. And I'll leave you with this final little thought for our slow flow class. Everything you need, your courage, strength, compassion, and love, everything you need is already within you. Hopefully that brings a little smile to the corners of your mouth. You already have everything that you need. Remember that you are strong. You are an amazing human being. You already have everything you need. Now, if you prefer to stay on your mat, you are absolutely welcome to. There is no obligation and no rush to move. But if you are ready to move, start small. Fingertips and toes, feet, ankles, and hands and wrists. Just bring a little bit of a movement, a wriggle, a squeeze, or a stretch. And then check out anything else that your body needs. Maybe it's a little twist like we did at the start of the class. Maybe it's knees back up into your chest for another hug, or maybe it's opening out and taking up space and reaching to the far corners of your room. Whichever it is for you, take that movement or that stillness. And when you're ready, slowly, gently, delicately, make your way back upright. Find a seated position of your choice. Support your legs as you need to. Sitting up tall, letting your hip bones anchor down so that you can rise on up. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your elbows, lifting your chest, and just bringing that little bit of tension through your torso. Good. And once you've arrived, let's reach our arms wide. Left to right, turn the palms up. Breathe in and lift them overhead as you inhale. Connecting your palms, exhale and lower. Bring your thumbs into the center of your chest. Squeeze, pause. Feel your heartbeat. Now you can take a little lean forward if it's comfortable for you. I will say a big thank you for your company, for your energy. I hope this has left you feeling calm and relaxed and refreshed. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much. Namaste. Yay, yay, yay.